Hey everybody, this is Nightwatch N8. How you doing? It's been a little while since my last report. I was sick for a couple of weeks. First week I was pretty much bedridden the whole week. Hardly ate a thing for like 3 days straight. I literally got out of bed to go to the bathroom and got back into bed, and that's what my life was for the first 3 days. I started finally getting a little energy to do more than just lay in bed after about the fourth day. And it was really weird. It's one of these like end of the summer flus, I guess. Pretty much every symptom you can imagine. It was no fun. And this is just pure speculation on my part, but I swear I've had this happen multiple times now. Family members go in to get the jab, the latest whatever concoction that Big Pharma comes out with, right? Brought to you by Pfizer. And I don't know if they're shedding or what's going on, but I'm picking up some nasty stuff, the kind that I don't think I've experienced ever in my lifetime. Anyway, I'm over it. That's the good news, and I've actually been really busy, this past week or so. Since I have recovered, just trying to finish up on summer activities, projects around the property. We actually got our well fracked, so that was interesting. Hopefully, I know it's going to be, I don't know what to do with myself, because, so many people that have been watching me for a while now, all the rants from the road, right? That's usually when I'm going out to get water, because I'm the water boy. I haul water for the main house, about 400 gallons at a pop, with my big 7.3 diesel. So yeah, if it works, we're praying that it does. At least buy me some time. Maybe I'll have more time to do podcasts as opposed to just driving and running my mouth, right? As I so naturally do. Anyway, so just a little update. I am planning on doing some kind of a rundown on the Charlie Kirk assassination. Just insane. Yeah, if you thought things were ever going to go back to normal, folks, I'm sorry to break it to you, and I've been saying this for a while now. I know, since I started up my channel during COVID, things are just going to keep getting wilder, and you're going to need a strong faith to get through it, to maintain your sanity. You need to get to know the Savior, in my opinion, because every other worldly footing, any other thing that you can think that you can trust in this world is going to be removed. The world itself, is described in prophecy is, it's going to be reeling to and fro like a drunkard, right? Even the ground that you stand on, you won't be able to trust, is what I'm saying. And so, get right with God. I've been saying this for a while now, guys. It's the thing, I think, and I'm probably going to bring this up in my podcast when I get the time. It's kind of, I don't like to, and I hope nobody else out there ever gets the impression that I am like the town gossip, right? That I just jump on a story to run my mouth and to create hype and just sensationalism and just to invent bizarre theories just to get attention, right? Like the loudest voice in the room. I hope nobody ever gets that impression, because if I state something, if I make a podcast in particular about something well thought out and researched, it's something that I've done my research on, and I have something that I can at least, if I'm questioned by anybody else out there, if you leave your questions in the comment section, which helps the algorithm, by the way, people. I know sometimes I'll go with a comment other than my own in my videos, so please comment on my videos, guys. Come on. I'm finally monetized after over 6 years of doing this, guys. And the only way I get traction on these platforms is like recently, David Icke, my main man, shared another one of my tweets, so it got like 85,000 views, and I actually got some new followers on X, because that's the only way, like I say, I get any traction. Every platform I'm on, it's like I don't exist. I sit there typing away till my fingers bleed, and I get, trickles for views. So this, despite the fact I've got like over 6,000 followers on X. But in any case, I'm not complaining. I'm just telling you how it is. So anything you can do to help, guys, I'd appreciate it. But no, the Charlie Kirk thing was insane. The reason I bring up the town gossip thing is just all these people. I think that's one of the most revealing things, is just how many people just jump on, kind of like dancing on the man's grave, I guess. One man's killing brings out all the little, I won't call them cockroaches, but you know what I'm saying, like the people that are just out for clicks and subscribers and views.
The Democrats just killed Charlie Kirk today. They're desperate. They're losing. They want to intimidate you and me and everybody else. But we won't let the murder of our hero be used against us. We'll use this death as an example to celebrate the life of Charlie Kirk and let the globalists know you did this out of weakness, and we're now going to peacefully expose you and speak out publicly more than ever. And then you criminals will be defeated and will be going to prison.
I like to sit back. I like to allow some of the information to come in. I like to take my time in trying to assess things before I come up with a theory, right? Because if you just run your mouth every time there's a headline, breaking event, a tragedy, shooting, whatever, it's just being dishonest in my mind. Okay, guys, it's not showing it's not showing any integrity. If you're just gonna run your mouth about random conspiracy theories without anything to back them up, right? It's got to be anything other than the official story, right? Now, I'll admit, the more I've researched, there are a few holes. There are a few hard to grasp details about the whole Charlie Kirk shooting. I'll turn this down so you just don't have to listen to that in the background the whole time. You want to hear my voice, right, guys? My voice in its fullness and all of its beauty. I'm not that vain, trust me. I try to be funny. I know it doesn't always work, but I try. Lighten the mood, because we're living in dark times, right, folks? Like I brought up to begin with. I did a enhanced video that I plan on releasing. I may or may not release it before I release this latest rant. But it does appear to me, despite all of the influencers and the info gurus out there, it does appear to me that the man who looks about the right stature as this kid running across the rooftop. Okay, what we have here is, and I really wish, like, I called for the same thing. Like, do we not have any angles during the Trump, supposed assassination attempt? Do we not have any angles from the right side of his head where he actually got hit? No, of course not. Nothing's come out. All those people in the crowd with their phones, and the same thing with the Charlie Kirk thing. There was video of like dozens of people holding up their phones. There had to have been a couple that were doing video. I know probably a lot of them were just doing pictures, but there's got to be more footage than I think. There's 4 different angles that I've seen so far from the Charlie Kirk assassination. There's got to be more footage out there, folks. And so why is there such a dearth of footage on this, national tragedy of an event? That's a question. But what we do have is the sound of a gunshot. It sounds like a rifle. We have Charlie Kirk in the most popular image of his front left view, of the right view from his left, showing him getting hit in the throat with a high-powered bullet. I mean, you can't explain it as anything other than that. I know we have like Stu Peters. This guy's a piece of work. He's the same guy who came up with the snake venom in the COVID shots theory that was later proven like ridiculous. And just again, these people, these sensationalists, I don't think they're necessarily agents, working for the government or anything like that, feds. I think they're just grifters that know how to grift, right? They know how to get attention. And even if it's the bottom dwellers, the low-hanging fruit of, conspiracy minded audiences out there, they'll take whatever they can get, right? So yeah, of course, Stu Peters, I think, was the one who popularized this idea that his lapel mic, because we just heard about the pagers, the exploding pagers, and so of course everything's seen through the Star of David lens. They got the lenses, right, as opposed to the big 5-pointed star lenses. All these guys walk around with like the 6-pointed star lenses, I guess. Everything's seen through the lens of Israel and the Mossad, and so of course, what's that thing on his shirt? It must be a projectile exploding device.
Tyler Robinson didn't kill Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk's Israeli security detail killed Charlie Kirk. That is the explosion from Charlie Kirk's lavalier lapel mic. Want to see it again? Bring it in closer. Remember when we told you that was absolutely an exit wound? Yeah, it is. Check the trajectory of the round that was deployed from that lavalier lapel mic. That went directly from Charlie Kirk's lapel. That went directly from underneath Charlie Kirk's white t-shirt up through his neck and created the exit wound that we told you was an exit wound immediately when we saw that exit wound. First we had exploding pagers, now we have exploding mics.
Well, the problem is that, for every action, and I've watched other people who are more knowledgeable in explosives experts, from the military, different people that have commented on that same theory and basically pointed it out as a joke that it is. For every action, there's an equal opposite reaction. And so if you have this little lapel mic held on by this little plastic clip, if there's a high enough powered explosive that's going to pass into Kirk's neck and kill him, it's probably going to rip itself off of his flimsy little white t-shirt. It's not going to still be remaining there after the fact. And so people are wondering what happened to his shirt. Why does it push up right as he's getting hit by this high velocity bullet? Well, a high velocity bullet is traveling supersonic, faster than the speed of sound. It creates a little shock wave in front of it. It might not be the correct ballistical word or whatever like that, but it actually, creates it has so much force. Like when it enters, liquid doesn't like to expand. So if it enters a liquid, semi-liquid object like human flesh, it's going to do immense damage. And you can almost see this, and I don't recommend you pour over this video of Charlie Kirk, but I had to just because I'm curious. Curiosity killed the podcast host, I guess, in more than one instance throughout history. Hopefully not in my case, but so I had to pour over it, and it's pretty gruesome. When I was a kid, just out of curiosity, me and my friends, we'd read like Faces of Death and that kind of thing. Just disgusting to watch these horrific ways that people die. And so from a young age, I was a little bit jaded with seeing death and people dying and whatnot. And I've had my experience of a few people that, friends, family members, that died. But just to watch him get hit in the throat, and you can almost see his throat expand from the pressure, right, of the supersonic bullet hitting his neck. And then of course he clenches up, and a lot of people made the point, and I thought it makes sense, that the bullet must have hit his spine because he clenched up and he was just out of it at that point. He just started to lean to one side. It's not like he grabbed for his neck and was like, making noises and gasping for air. It was like in that instance, and I guess that's the one reassurance, I guess, is that he didn't really suffer any. In that instance, he was pretty much out of it. He He's pretty much dead. No more signals to the brain. And then you see this blood just gushing, pouring out of his throat. And so, if that didn't kill him, then all the blood loss definitely would kill him. And so people are speculating, and it makes sense, from what I've seen, demonstrations of the power of a 30-06 round. What is that, 30 caliber, I think it is. You see a 50 caliber, they're huge, but a 30 caliber, it's a pretty good size too. I'm not a ballistic expert. I know how to shoot guns. It's kind of like with computers. I know how to use them. I'm not like a computer science major, but I've been around guns since I was a kid. Shooting shotguns, shooting 22s, pistols, 9 millimeters, 357s, whatever. So I know a little bit about, the power of behind a bullet. I know enough to respect the power of a gun. But yeah, there's these people that are questioning, okay, the official story is it's a 30-06. And if you look at his gun, it's kind of like a Mauser. Supposedly it was like kind of an older gun that he borrowed from his grandpa or something like that. And so, the one thing was that, this gun shouldn't be able to be broken down. And everybody was like, well, he couldn't have fitted it in his backpack. And that's probably true. But that doesn't mean he couldn't have planted it, somehow on the rooftop or wherever prior. Maybe even the night, I don't know, prior to the event. The gun could have been planted somewhere. But as you see in that footage that I kind of enhanced a little bit, it does appear that he is carrying something, maybe not the full length of a long rifle like that, but it's definitely long enough to be the barrel section with the bolt action connected and all that. And he still has his backpack on, right? So he's not trying to carry it in his backpack as he's running across the rooftop, and you can see as he jumps down, he picks it back up, and there's a couple frozen frames that show this long object that he's carrying. And even as a car goes by, you can kind of see how he holds it against his leg, and he's walking real stiff with one leg, right? Like he's trying to appear as if he doesn't have anything. He's not carrying anything. So obviously this person's that jumps off the rooftop right after Charlie Kirk, right after we hear a gunshot. Charlie Kirk gets hit in the neck by a high velocity round. It doesn't supposedly pass through his neck, which is kind of strange, I admit. But, at an angle, bullets can sometimes deflect. And, the official coroner's report is that it passed through like 5 vertebrae in his neck, which would, I guess, make sense with such a high-powered round. So I'm just stating what I see, right? I'm not trying to invent new theories to be cutting edge and sensationalist like Stu Peters, and it's got to be anything other than a gun. It's got to be anything other than the official story. Why? My first question is, if the government didn't want us looking into this, if they just wanted us to believe the official line, why would they call it a 30-06 if he actually got shot, like some people are speculating, by a 5.56? Why wouldn't they just call it a 5.56? Like, is it just to confuse everybody? Is there more going on here in this psyop? I don't know, folks. But it in my humble opinion, look at this house is being rebuilt. Look at that. I don't know if you guys remember, but yeah, that was one of the big, really pretty log cabins that I actually I did some yard work for them, and I stopped there after the fire we had up here, the Alexander Mountain fire, and I was showing everybody all the destruction around here. So they're already building. Yeah, why does it always have to be something other than what we see with our own eyes, right? And I think that's the broader psyop, and that's something I'm going to probably touch on if I ever get enough time to settle down and do my next podcast before it's completely irrelevant, right, guys? I'm pretty good at that. But like I said, I don't like the knee-jerk reaction to everything, because I don't think that's intellectually honest. Before I form an opinion on something, I want some of the details to come out. And we still have a whole court case ahead of us, right? There could be a lot more evidence presented in court, a lot more footage. There should be plenty more footage with all the cameras around that college. But in any case, I'm just stating what I saw, what I see from what little, footage that they've released. A couple pictures of the guy walking up some stairs with a backpack, and the one footage of the guy jumping off the rooftop. That's all we got. And so, it's like, does the government just want to continually sow distrust in the American people? It sure seems that way, doesn't it? And at the same time, it's like the whole... Here's another house. Look at that. Wow. See you guys? That quickly things get rebuilt after a forest fire. It's a nice little cabin. Just doing a little mountain drive, if you guys were curious, because I had enough time, or I needed more time to finish up my train of thought. I hope you guys appreciate it. Burning gas and burning time, daylight hours, and I didn't get anything done at home today because I had to run around doing chores, groceries and whatnot, supplies, building materials. The broader psyop, as I see it, is the fact that even when people see something unfold in front of their very eyes, they can't believe it. So there's this war on for perception management, for one thing, which is a real thing. But it's literally the way people perceive reality and their ability to perceive reality is under attack. We're hit by so many conflicting disinformation, misinformation from so many angles. Primarily, by the way, the primary culprit is government, of course. And and people can't even make sense of the world. The most basic things, like what we have on the left, where we can't even accept that there's two sexes. There's not multiple genders. There's only two sexes, as I heard Charlie Kirk in one of his awesome little debates. I've been watching more of his material just because I never really was that into the guy, but the more I listen to him, he's a pretty intelligent guy, and what I like about him is he's pretty modest. He's pretty, he doesn't hit people over the head with the Bible, right? He's pretty humble with his approach. He just states what he believes and leaves it at that, right? He does go toe to toe, he's not afraid to confront a lot of these leftists, but he's respectful. And that's a rare trait, right? That's how Christians should be, right, guys? Anyway, God bless. I hope to follow up more on Charlie Kirk. It's a tragedy. A lot of the theories I think are just dishonest, and people speculating about his wife being involved and stuff like this. Come on, guys, you have zero proof. Extraordinary claims, as Carl Sagan once put it, require extraordinary evidence, right, guys? So don't just start throwing out, accusations. That's something the devil would do, right? The accuser of thy brethren, the liar, the murderer from the beginning, the same demonic spirit that probably, I can tell you as a matter of fact, did inspire this kid to do what he did in the first place. That's the spirit. Just throw out accusations without any proof whatsoever. Was she laughing? Was she looking happy a couple weeks later? Yes, but people can cope and grieve in different ways. And she's trying to, according to the story, continue on Charlie Kirk's legacy with TPUSA. And you can put on a front, you can put on a face. She was used to being behind the camera. She was an actress at one point and all this. Yes, it is weird. Okay, she's got connections with Trump and another actress, and I know this, but does that make, Charlie Kirk's assassination one big giant plot, from Charlie Kirk's closest friends, even his closest confidant, as she called herself, confidant, Erica Kirk, his wife, whom he had two little girls with, who by all measure, were like the perfect marriage. Like, come on, guys. Come on. let's not be of the spirit of the devil, of the Antichrist. Let's be Christ-like, if at all possible, as much as possible. And let's just wait for all the facts to come out, right? Yes, you can put on a front even when you're grieving to get through a podcast, to try to keep a, to keep your spirits up, to put on a positive vibe, a positive front, for a half an hour, an hour, whatever it was long podcast, okay? People don't have to walk around moping and grieving for weeks and months later. And maybe she does have a higher hope, right? As a Christian, like, that's one thing atheists don't understand, is that, yeah, we have a higher hope in the afterlife and in a God that's straight enough to meticulously design us in the womb. The same God that can recreate us, out of the book of life, if we remain faithful to him. Anyway, God bless. That's my little rant. I'm back, so I gotta zip my lip and unpack the car. I got ice cream in the back, so come on, guys. Can't let that just melt. I'm freezing right now because I got the air conditioning on. Anyway, God bless everybody. This is Nightwatch N8. Until next time, signing out.